We did it, boys. Florida Panthers are 2023-24 Stanley Cup champions. And I went from the Russian dude to the Russian dad literally overnight. Let me know down below in the comments who do you think I look like, and let's go Panthers. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dad. Let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. Oh, okay. Because today we have this picture of Vladimir Zelensky next to the picture of Vladimir Zelensky. But according to the Russian propaganda, these are two completely different people. So I don't lie to you guys, let me even call his name. According to the Russian propaganda, they think that this guy is Tofik Abakimov from Urupinsk. The difference is very obvious, they claim. I mean, they say, look, this guy does not have, on the left, the real Zelensky does not have a mustache, does not have a beard, because apparently mustache and beard do not grow in men's faces, right? But okay, this doesn't matter. What they say is that this guy has to wear mustache and a beard so that he's not recognized as Zelensky, so he kinda resembles the Zelensky as a president, but not exactly the same. And obviously just the structure, the shape of the head, the skull, the hair, the wrinkles on the face, all these point to that right now the president of Ukraine is not real Zelensky, according to the Russian propaganda, which, by the way, coming from Russia, is very hysterical and very controversial, very... what are they even thinking about, right? But okay, as always, it is time to get serious. Let me give you a brief update from the eastern front lines, and first of all, we have to make a stop on the territory of Russia. First, we have a video from Belgorod, where according to the Ukrainian sources, several UAV drones were launched against the city. But Russian propaganda, they said they intercepted every single one of these 29 drones. Apparently, somehow there are videos from the local residents showing that some drones did reach their final destinations. Next, we have a video from Voronezh, where yet another relatively big munition depot of Russians was attacked, most likely as well by a Ukrainian drone, and since this was full of munitions, the detonations were continued to happen for several hours, making it almost impossible to put out this fire. Next, we have a picture from Kharkov front line, and first of all we can see a Russian air defense system called PANTHERS being found by one of FPV drones by Ukrainians, and the next picture shows the successful destruction of this air defense system. And also, speaking about Kharkov frontline, if you remember from my previous video, Russians started slowly but surely withdrawing from it, because according to them they were able to achieve their goals of distracting Ukrainians from the rest of the front lines, though very highly questionable whether they were achieving this or not. But nevertheless, right here we have a video from Vovchansk, one of the most unfortunately notorious cities from this Kharkov front line, where we can see that Ukrainians are pushing out the remainders of the army out of the city. They go literally house to house, knock on the door, and well, they either take prisoners of war or they just put them to eternal sleep. The full video is bodycam footage, more than 6 minutes long. Guys, very nice video to see, very interesting video to see. The full and obviously uncensored version as always is on my Patreon. Please go ahead and check it, highly recommend. The link to my Patreon is down below. Next we have a video from Kurakhove, where Russians attempted an assault against this settlement. Ukrainians were able to relatively easily repel all of it, in the process destroying at least 7 different armored vehicles of various kinds. And then in Bilohirivka, located in Luhansk region, a Russian tank was also split into atoms. And next is the video from Pokrovsk direction in Donetsk region, this time where Ukrainian simple FPV drone is able to completely cease to exist, quote-unquote, Russian multiple launch rocket system called Grad. And while these minor successes, but successes nevertheless by Ukrainians along the eastern front lines, they are a cause of concern for Putin, well, to be honest, recently that's not even the one which is the biggest one, because recently allegedly another major ally, the president of Serbia Aleksandar Vučić, he betrayed Putin's trust. Putin now has fewer and fewer friends, and those countries which are still supporting Russia are becoming smaller and smaller Just trying to be politically correct, right? And so long story short, what happened is that approximately 800 million euros worth of Serbian produced munition weapons were delivered to Ukraine recently. Despite ongoing so-called trying to keep in balance the political relationship between Russia and Serbia, despite trying to keep in balance these activities by, once again, the President Aleksandar Vučić. The President did not refute any statements or allegations. He did confirm that yes, this number sounds about right, but it was out of his scope of responsibility and activity to follow through where this munition is gonna end up, because he does say that Serbia does not directly export munition to Ukraine. It mainly has clients in America, Americans themselves obviously, and some other European countries. So maybe this munition ended up in Ukraine through just a third country. So once again, Vučić did not refute any statements, did not confirm any of this, but well, the fact is the fact. Serbian munition is now being used by Ukrainians. Putin is once again betrayed. But wait, there is more. The ex-Minister of Defense of Russia, our favorite Sergei Shoigu Mosquito, and the Chief of Staff who we've never heard about for a very long time, Valeriy Gerasimov. Long story short, the International Criminal Court recently issued arrest warrants for these two bodies. So yeah, I mean, Russians can say whatever they want, like, we don't care about this, the only use of this paper for us is in the restroom, like, you have no authority to arrest us, all this kind of stuff. And yes, technically they are in some way correct, for as long as this special military operation is going, and for as long as they have this so-called protection, the roof by Putin. Because as soon as war will be over, if and hopefully when the regime of Putin falls, every single war criminal, no matter how much they would want to hide, every single one of them will be found and will be prosecuted, will be brought to justice. Think about the Second World War. The record keeping 80-90 years ago was nowhere near close what we have right now. Everything was done pretty much by hand, on paper, then it was stored in buildings, and then whenever the Allies started to win, spontaneously all these buildings with lots of evidence/records, they were catching on fire, destroying the evidence. But nevertheless, still, the war criminals are still being found all across the globe until now. So once again, there is no escape. Just think about it. Once again, 90 years ago, 80 years ago, there was no significant, extraordinary high-resolution cameras. The spyware equipment was not that sophisticated. Obviously, there was no internet, and still, just by tales, just by city legends, those people who were affiliated with the Germany of these years, they, majority of them at least, were found. And now, whenever the record keeping is absolutely extraordinarily precise, you cannot simply destroy a database because there are copies somewhere around the world. As soon as something appears online, it is forever gonna exist on the internet. People share those things, people save those things on their own computers, they can re-upload them later. So long story short, the evidence against Shoigu and Gerasimov will never disappear. We obviously know exactly how do they look like, we know exactly how they talk, how they walk, we can assume, we can predict how they can look if they decide to do a plastic surgery, and just once again, if they decide to cross the borders by plane, by wherever, even there will be some kind of records. So long story short, as soon as the regime of Putin falls, these two are in very serious trouble. And honestly, it is my personal opinion, I think this is exactly the reason why there is this phantom support for Putin right now happening within his inner circle, because these people, they do know. They do know deep inside that whatever they're doing is wrong. Even the beginning of the special military operation was a shock for majority of them. But they also understand at the same time that if Putin falls, they are the next ones in lines. That is why they have to do those things against their will, including propagandists, and I would say first and foremost the propagandists, because pretty much by covering for Putin, they're covering for themselves. I honestly do not think this is just some kind of a crazy theory, but still I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know down below in the comments whether you agree or not. And now ultimately let's talk about Ukrainians drastically changing their military strategy because they did find some flaws within the Russian defenses. Guys, this is an extra chapter for my Patreon members, my way of saying thank you so much for your support. This is the main source of income for me right now. YouTube is now nowhere what it used to be. So if you want to continue watching, if you want to receive these episodes in early access, receive uncensored episodes and uncensored footage, please go ahead and check my Patreon. The link is down below. For your support, guys, thank you so much. So there you have it, guys. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, because Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions. Finally, first time in 30 years. Go ahead and check my other links down below. PayPal donations, Instagram, Patreon, of course, merch, hoodies, cases, pants, t-shirts, all this kind of stuff. The links to every single thing is down below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.